Welcome back to the channel. This is Spidey Trainer, and today we're doing something a little different. I know I got a lot of Marvel paraphernalia all around me, but today we're talking about a DC movie that just came out. Well, it didn't just come out, it's been out for a few weeks, but it's the second Joker movie, Joker 2, Folie, Deux. And the joke around the internet is that it's Folie, Deux, because it did not do very well. People do not like it. It lost a lot of money. And they changed up the formula so much to where it really just ruined the momentum that Joker 1 had. It was such a great movie, it was done very well, and for whatever reason they went with this direction to incorporate music into a very already dark toned movie. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But today we're going to talk about it, we're going to break it down, share my thoughts about it, and I also want to know what you guys think. So if you would, leave a comment down below about what you guys think of the movie, and also, before we get into it, click that like button, hit subscribe, and make sure to hit the bell for more notifications on whatever video I have coming up next. So now, with that out of the way, let's get into Joker 2, Folie, Deux. Alright, so to start things off, we're going to talk about a little bit about Joker 1. What made that movie so great, and what made the impending coming out of this movie, Joker 2, so enticing, but also so worrisome. So with Joker 1, we start out with a character named Arthur Fleck, which in the comics, you don't really know what his origin is. He doesn't really have an actual name aside from Joker. There are a lot of other different stories that split up into what his origin may have been. We'll get into that a little later. But essentially, stories about Arthur Fleck, this guy who's just down and out. He works as a clown on the street, he's trying to take care of his mom, but he's always having a bad day. He doesn't get a whole lot of respect. He gets kicked when he's down. He gets fired. He gets called crazy. People think he's weird. He has this weird laugh, which is a medical condition in this movie, which I thought was a really unique way to incorporate the laugh of Joker. And every time he does it, he's pained. It's like it hurts him, that his laughter is pain, which is a very conflicting character trait of this character. And I respect it. It was different, it was unique, but it fit. It fit based off the momentum that was carrying through the movie, and it made sense. It's like he starts out really low, and he's a really troubled past. He doesn't really know where he comes from. He wants to know where he belongs, and he wants to be a comedian. He wants to make people laugh, spread joy to people. That's what he wants to do. But because of the influence of Gotham, the influence of people around him, never giving him a chance, always treating him like garbage. The show host, Murray, one of his idols, someone that he watched on TV with his mother all the time, he gets made fun of on national television by his idol, which destroys him. So bit by bit, he just loses more and more of his sanity, what little sanity he has. And there are even some theories about him not actually leaving the asylum, that a lot of what takes place in Joker 1 isn't really happening, which is a really cool psychological take for this movie, because Joker's crazy. So it's either he's crazy, some of this stuff is real, some of it's not, or it's driving us crazy trying to figure it out. So it was a really cool, interesting approach to the character. All in all, he eventually becomes the persona of the Joker that we know generally from the comics, but we see that it's a fresh, different take for this character. The way that they built him up, carried him through the movie, and then eventually transformed into the character of the Joker, and to see him kind of come to fruition, coming from this very dark, disturbed character into the confident, crazy guy that we know and love in the comics as Joker. We actually just saw the movie just to kind of refresh our memory of it the other night, and it's a really good movie. So I know some people didn't like it. It was too dark for some people back when it came out, but when you take this movie and then you compare it to Joker 2, stark contrast in how well it did and how good it was. I mean, it brought in like about $1 billion, I think, in the box office. It did really, really well. And then, with all that said, masterpiece of a movie, did really well, good job. And then we transition into the unfortunate case of Joker 2. So let's talk about that. With Joker 2, it takes place basically 2 years after the events of Joker 1. He goes to prison after he gets arrested after shooting Murray. He goes to prison, he's in prison for 2 years, and what kills me the most is everything that was built up for the character, where he finally came from this, unfortunate circumstance, but he was okay, but bit after bit after bit, he kept getting shot down, crushed, destroyed, and his sanity was starting to crumble more and more and more, and then he becomes the Joker, and now we have the Joker, right? He's here. Joker is here. And then they just backtrack all of that. They basically Control-Alt-Delete everything that took place in the first movie. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, before all that, before actually going into where Arthur Fleck is, the cartoon There's a cartoon that plays prior to actually us getting caught up with Arthur, where he is today, which is a really unique setup for the movie and what the movie was going to be about. It was a kind of a Looney Tunes type formatted cartoon that was done about, it's called, what was it, Joker and the Shadow, or Me and My Shadow, something like that. Basically talking about the duality of the Joker. Is it Arthur Fleck, who's also the Joker, or is it two separate individuals? Is it Arthur Fleck and then there's a Joker? And then they had this whole metaphorical take on his shadow being the Joker, committing these dark acts, and Arthur is the innocent bystander in this sense, who just kind of gets hit with the collateral damage that the Joker causes. So it's about the whole debate, okay, is it one person or is there two? And so yeah, that's up with the whole basis of the movie. So he goes to the B ward, which is another sect of the prison, where they have this music class which is taking place. And this is where we get introduced to, I don't know why they do this. Like, I understand creative liberties and like being wanting to change certain things to make it a little bit different and unique and give it a different spin or twist on something. But we know it's Harley Quinn, so why call her Lee? Why lead with, my name's Lee? Like, it's Harley. I don't care if it's a cool nickname that you came up with, it's Harley Quinn. So, there are other movies that have done that too, where it's just like, just say it. Or Madam Web, let's backtrack real quick to that, where they never really mention Peter's name or his parents' names. They were very vague with the character, but we know who they are, so why don't they just say it? Because I know there are like certain rights with Sony and Marvel and whatever. But, like, why go the extra little inch to say, oh, her name's Lee, because that's edgy and different. Like, it's Harley Quinn. Like, come on, what are we doing? Anyway, we meet Lee. She apparently is the Joker superfan. When she saw him on TV, and apparently they made a movie about the whole situation when he shot Murray, and that kind of blew up over the past 2 years, and so she's like watched that 20 times, and she's a huge fan. It's kind of slow-paced, building up to, okay, what is Arthur doing? Like, where's the Joker in this Joker movie? Yet to be seen. And they finally meet. Harley, I'm calling her Harley. Harley and Arthur, they meet, they get to talk a little bit, they sing a little bit, and also the introduction to the music class kind of sets up, if you didn't already know the talkings about what this movie was going to be, sets up the fact that music's going to play a big part in this movie, unfortunately. She's crazy. Yeah, Lady Gaga, like, she plays a good Harley, and I have to be very careful with that, because I know that the character of Harley, and I've seen her done well, either in cartoon form or in real life, with Margot Robbie, I think did a good job of Harley, what we knew Harley to be, based on where she comes from. It made sense, and she portrayed the role pretty well, despite how not great the movies did. She played the part well. She did Harley Quinn well. I'll give her that. With Lady Gaga, they made her way more crazy. It was like less comically crazy and just straight up insane. And again, this movie is a more darker tone, so okay, it kind of makes sense. And I would have really appreciated, my wife as well, would have really appreciated if it took away from the fact that, yeah, Lady Gaga's a music artist and she can sing. Take that away for a second and let her just act. Like, I know that she can act. I mean, she's only been in a few movies that portrayed her as a character, and I know that in those movies, from what I can remember, she was still singing, so she was singing to some effect. Let her just act. Let's see what the character of Harley is without the singing of Lady Gaga, which, again, the music was good, but it's just, it takes away from the tone and the impact this movie is supposed to have, I feel, after the events of the first movie, because it came off such a high horse and such a high momentum. And every time there was a song that played, or they were breaking out into song, it's like, okay, is this happening for real? Or is he actually singing in front of people and on national television? It's like, it takes away from it. I wanted to hold on to, this is a gritty movie, it's dark, it's twisted, and it's sad and depressing. And every time they sing, it's like, all right, we're just gonna sing for a bit. I'll wait till this passes and we can get back to where things are good. Ish. I mean, I can barely say that. Anyway, for me, I don't know about you all, but it takes away from the movie for me. Wasn't a fan. And when I heard about it coming out, a couple of years ago, when it was announced that it was going to be this, I was already concerned. I was upset. I was appalled that they decided to go this direction coming off the heels of Joker 1. It did so well, it brought in so much money, and they decided to downgrade it to a musical-esque type film. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know why they did it. Maybe some of y'all loved it. I don't know. I mean, there are a few of you that I'm sure loved the movie, thought it was great, but I did not. It was an unfortunate circumstance to see this movie in this way and kind of do the character that was built up. It was different. It wasn't Joker that we know from the comics, but it was a different version of it that we kind of fell in love with a little bit, felt bad for it, and we kind of rooted for him in a weird way. It's weird rooting for a villain, but we rooted for Arthur in a way, which I kind of liked that. It made you feel wrong for liking and rooting for the character of the movie, the protagonist in a sense. But yeah, so with all the music stuff that took place, it didn't seem to make sense to me, and it ruined it as far as the impact that I felt like it had, or could have had, but it diminished it because of the music stuff. And then it comes into the court case, which is the bulk of the movie. This is Act 2, is the biggest chunk of it, which is just in the courtroom and about lawyers and attorneys and all that, people on the stand. And Joker becomes infatuated with Harley. He feels like already that he's lost everybody that he's cared about, people that have cared about. There are already few people that cared about him, barely his mother, which apparently from the last movie was very abusive to him and let her adopted son get abused by the person she was seeing at the time, and she had this fantasy about Thomas Wayne, and really messed up upbringing, this guy. And he found someone that truly loves him for him, which in Harley's mind is Joker. That's his one identity, that's who he is, that's who this guy is. That's Arthur Fleck, Joker are one and the same. Rather than the whole case of did Joker do this or did Arthur Fleck do this? Is it a split personality case or is Joker one guy? So that was a whole debate between in the courtroom, the whole situation there. So Harley's really voting for Joker, thinking that it's one guy, and Arthur is wanting to believe that's who he is too. And we finally get to the point where Joker comes out, where he falls in love with Harley and she lies a lot. There's a few scenes that we're not really sure if it's happening or not, like the one where he gets put in solitary confinement and they have relations, but not sure if it's in his head or if it actually happened. And then she says later that she's pregnant, don't know if that's real. And then we find out later that, I didn't see the movie 20 times, I saw it like 5 or 6. And that she actually put herself in solitary, or not solitary, but in the asylum or the hospital. She checked herself in and then checked herself out, which she didn't want to. Her dad actually comes from money. Her dad's a doctor. So it's like all these things is like, okay, what is real here? She's insane. It reminds me a little bit about Heath Ledger's Joker, about the 3 stories that he told about, you don't want to know how I got these scars. Like every story was different. And also when it comes back to that quote from The Killing Joke, which I will talk about later. Like I said before, it made her seem more just crazy, more insane, rather than comically crazy and infatuated with the Joker. Which they took elements of that, applied it to this, but it didn't always mesh well for me. Anyway, so Joker is starting to come more and more to the surface. He's starting to embrace that character of the Joker again. And then he fires his lawyer. He starts to represent himself as Joker, full makeup and all, the full getup, and does this whole Foghorn Leghorn bit where he talks in a Southern accent. And I thought it was funny because that was my takeaway from like, this is Joker being silly, being weird, and being demented, and some of his questioning. And unfortunately, this is where it kind of got a little dark because he started questioning Gary Puddles, which is the little person from the old job he used to have. And apparently the act, if you all remember from the first movie, Joker stabbed the big dude in the neck and then in the eye, and he stabbed him over and over again. He killed him right in front of this guy. After seeing the pain that Joker caused Mr. Puddles, he didn't want to be Joker anymore. That was kind of it. And to me, Joker is not someone who cares about anyone else. He barely cares about himself. He just cares about creating chaos and spreading that in his weird, demented way. Like that's his thing. I mean, of course, Batman is a big part of that. They're the two sides of the same coin in a weird way, but Batman's not a part of this. This is a different take on the character. When I think of the Joker, it's this heartless, cynical, maniacal person who doesn't care about whether you live or die. Doesn't really care about if he lives or dies. He just wants to create chaos. And he doesn't have a heart. And this is where we kind of backpedal back to the beginning now. We come off this there's a musical number that I didn't actually hate too much, where it fit, where it's the one where they're singing and dancing in the courtroom, and he whacks the judge with the gavel over the head, and then he shoots himself in the head. Arthur finally snapped, Joker's back. And then we get that court scene with Mr. Puddles for like 12 minutes. And then we see the pain in Mr. Puddles, and Arthur is starting to have second thoughts, and then Joker says, I wanted to come here and actually throw this angry argument at you guys and yell at you guys, but it's just, there's so much pain that I've caused, that this has caused and started, and I just don't want to do it anymore. There is no Joker. There's always been Arthur. And Harley sees that. She's already wearing the Harley Quinn getup, hoping to see her love, her Joker, come to life, and finds out that he's a quitter, and she walks out of the courtroom. And then from there, it's just downhill, and he's about to get overturned, and I think the jury makes a decision, obviously, because he straight up killed people. And his own mother. He admits that to the jury before the next day, where they come up with the verdict, where he's guilty of all these murders. He's getting ready to get taken away, and then a bomb goes off, blowing up the side of the wall of the courtroom, to find out that a bunch of Joker's fans and fanatics, they actually set off a car bomb, and as Joker, which is kind of strange because Joker could have died. They could have just killed him. He was the closest person to that explosion, and somehow lives. But he escapes the wreckage, and one of the Joker fans, dressed up just like him, throws him in a car, and they start driving off. And in my mind, I thought that's where, okay, we're gonna get the Joker. He's now free. He's escaped. He's a free bird. He's free to be the Joker again, or something's gonna snap him back into place, and we're gonna get an actual Joker movie finally after an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. And he gets cold feet and gets out of the car and runs away. One of his fans are trying to hey, come back, we're trying to help you. And he runs off. The other guy gets hit by a car and he escapes, going back to the famous Joker stairs where he made that dramatic dance down the stairs when he became Joker from the first one. Harley Quinn's at the top of the stairs, looking all like a goth Harley. Cut her hair, her makeup's all black and whatever, and she's singing. And I thought this was kind of unique, where taking the whole singing and musical aspect of the movie and having her sing as if this was the part of the fantasy, and I think she mentioned something about this was the fantasy. She sings it, and Arthur's like, no more singing. I just want to talk. Just talk to me, please. The fact that the whole fantasy of the Joker, the dream of who the Joker was, is over. It's now just this boring human Arthur Fleck, not the icon that was the Joker. And she leaves. She goes up the stairs, and we never see her again. And we don't even know if that's real, but she puts a gun to her head, and we don't know if it goes off or not. And the screen changes, the scene changes. We don't know if she pulled the gun, if she showed up, if she didn't, if she was actually at the stairs or not, if that was just in his head. We don't know what's going on, so it's really hard to follow it. And it's kind of frustrating too, because I'm more trying to keep up with the musical stuff, trying to maintain the tone of what the movie is trying to do amidst of the musical notes or numbers. And then we don't know if it's in his head or if it's happening. And then after that whole thing on the stairs, Joker just stands there and the cops show up and he gets arrested again. And now we're back to square one where we started in this whole movie. We waited 2.5 hours to get to the same place we started at. And it's like, okay, where was the Joker? It's called Joker in big yellow letters with Folie in the middle of it. And we got barely a Joker at all. We got a lot of Harley, which, okay. But it's called Joker. The way this thing ends is Joker gets a visitor, starts walking down, and this one inmate who we've kind of seen throughout the movie here and there for just split seconds goes up to the Joker and wants to tell him a joke. And I know this is late, but spoilers. Hope that was like on the screen somewhere, but yeah, we just went into a whole slew of spoilers, so I hope you didn't get it ruined. Although the movie, if you went to go see it, it would have been ruined anyway, so you're welcome. So yeah, it tells him a joke about a psychotic and whatever, and it says you get what you deserve. Same thing that Joker said to Murray when he was on television, which I thought was kind of poetic. I don't want to say justice, but punishment. And he gets shanked like 12 times, and Joker dies. Arthur Fleck dies. And this is where we get into a bit of some theories, because of the quote I keep bringing up from The Killing Joke, really well-known comic, Batman comic, really messed up comic too, but there's a scene towards the end of that comic where Joker makes a statement saying, and someone asks him like, where'd you actually come from, or something like that, and Joker says, I prefer my origin to be a multiple choice, which was a really iconic way to kind of state the quote-unquote origin of the Joker, saying that there is no origin. It could be this, it could be that, it could be anything. We don't really know. It could be whatever the writers really want to make it, but that just makes it more mysterious, where Joker doesn't almost seem human. He doesn't have a beginning. He just was. I mean, after obviously Ace Chemicals, and that's one theory where he came from. And there's also this whole thing, I think it was after the Doomsday Clock storyline, after that wrapped up, there was this scene in the Batcave where Batman's on the computer and he sees different pictures or versions of Jokers that were different. They weren't always the same Joker. And then there's this whole really intricate storyline that I can't really get too much into, only because it's been a while since I read it and I don't want to confuse or misinform, but there's that aspect. So I don't know if they took that. Part of me believes that Todd Phillips, the director, didn't really think too hard about what he wanted this movie to be. Didn't do a whole lot of research for this movie. So I think he did. There are theories and there are assumptions that people said on the internet that Todd Phillips just made this movie so that it would crash and burn and he wouldn't have to do another one. That this would be it. He didn't want to do it anymore, so just like make it bad and so call it a day. And that's a theory. That's not a fact. I don't know that for sure. But for me, when I saw after Arthur got stabbed and the guy in the background that stabbed him, he's like cutting a smile into his face. You don't see it; it's very blurry, but you hear him slicing up his face. That made me think of Heath Ledger about how I got these scars. So that I don't know if that was intentional about that connection, but that made me think that, okay, maybe this is the Joker that we'll see later down the road in this universe if they decided to continue it, which they won't. But if Batman did meet a Joker, it may be this guy. Who knows? But the impact of the Joker sparked this revolution of many almost Joker incels or Joker sleeper agents that who knows who they could be. He has so many fans that anybody could be the Joker when Batman actually shows up and starts fighting crime. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Joker dies in this movie, and it didn't fulfill the momentum that the last one had. Again, the movie was so good, it was so sad, but it sparked an emotion out of all of us. Whether it was upset, disturbed, sad, depressed, it sparked something. This one was just annoying because it was such a waste of a potentially good character storyline that they could have kept following, made this a straight story with no music, kept the same tone with introducing Harley, which that would have been interesting to see without all the singing, which, again, not bad, it's just not good in this format. It would have been better probably in a theatrical event, like an actual musical on the stage, on Broadway, I don't know, something that wasn't this. But because it was this, I've got to give it 2 out of 5 thwips. It kept my intrigue, so it didn't put me to sleep like Madame Web did, and I wasn't completely lost. I understand what they were trying to do in certain places, but the musicals and the fact that they backpedaled the whole thing just kind of subverted the whole build-up of what the first one did and what this one was trying to do towards the middle, and then it went backwards, and it just like almost erased everything that we watched. So it was like one of those movies where you wake up and it was all a dream. It's like, it might as well have just been that, because it completely undid everything that had been built up at that point, to where it's like, why did I even watch this in the first place? So anyway, that's my review of Joker 2 Folie. And what did you guys think? Did you guys enjoy it? If you did, please let me know. What were your thoughts? What angle of this movie did you approach this at to where you actually got some enjoyment out of it? Or did you straight up hate it? And let's roast it in the comments if you want to. But I'm curious as to what you guys actually thought of this movie. Whether they should have just left it with Joker 1, or they could have done better, or if this was actually a good idea, I don't know. Let me down below, but that's what I have for today. Boy. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Because me and my wife on the drive home were just like, they really, really missed the mark on this. They could have, it's just really sad. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but hey, that's life. Let me know what you guys think, and again, remember to click the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for more notifications on whatever video I have coming up next. And until next time, stay amazing.